Social media can be great for lots of reasons, but when it comes to financial advice, don't believe absolutely everything that you hear. Here with 3 TikTok tax traps that you should avoid. We've got Adam Brewer, who is a tax attorney at AB Tax Law. Adam, good to have you here in studio with us. Let's start with deductions here. What's a trap out there that folks should avoid?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first trap that we see a lot is this 6,000-pound vehicle deduction. So if you're on social media, you probably see posts about deducting your 6,000-pound vehicle, and it can be a great way to save tax dollars. But for most small businesses, for people with side hustles, we really don't want to see them tying up so much of their funds in a 6,000-pound vehicle. So there's better alternatives if you're looking for a year-end tax savings. Don't jump right to that 6,000-pound vehicle. What I'd recommend is instead make sure you max out your retirement contributions. So if you haven't maxed out your pre-tax retirement contributions at this point in the year, do that first. Don't even look at a 6,000-pound vehicle until you really set aside that money, because that's really where your wealth is going to be built.
One of the other traps out there, and we hear this talked about a lot and really rattling through social, is the write-offs and what can be written off, what can't be written off. Of course, a lot of Schitt's Creek fans out there may have had this top of mind as well. What are the traps of that, though?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a huge trap. We've talked about it for a few years now. This is the one where, hey, go on a vacation, do a little bit of work, write off the whole thing. Just because you have an LLC, it doesn't mean it's a write-off. Going back to the old Schitt's Creek joke. And so that's what we want to see is really taxpayers, if they have an LLC, if they have a small business, do the work. Look for the legitimate deductions that you do have. I can't tell you the number of times I've seen clients come in with an audit or with a pretty bad tax situation, and they've had these questionable deductions, but when we really go through their expenses, there's legitimate deductions that they've overlooked. It's just they were too quick to jump to, the more questionable ones, like the vacation expenses, the meals, the dining, those types of things.
Interesting. And lastly here, what are folks missing about deductions when it comes to charitable donations? We just had Giving Tuesday a couple weeks ago here. What should people know about their charitable donations?
Yeah, so the big thing on charitable donations is if you want to give to a cause, give to a cause. But what we see because of the higher standard deduction is that more taxpayers than ever, they're not actually using their itemized deductions. And that includes the charitable contributions. So taxpayers who have historically used itemized deductions, they have their state and local tax, their mortgage interest, all of those have really been squeezed. State and local tax by a $10,000 cap, mortgage interest by 3% loans that a lot of people have. And so again, if you want to donate to a charitable cause, do it. But before you go all in and really write a big check, make sure you factor in, will that save you tax dollars? Because again, with the higher standard deductions, a lot of taxpayers aren't able to use those classifications of itemized deductions.
Is there a sweet spot to make sure that you're filing by in order to get your return back quicker?
I don't know that there's a sweet spot. I'd say the trick is to always file electronically. So if you can avoid submitting a paper copy to the IRS, file that return electronically. And then again, if you're able to file like late January, early February, whenever they do it, beat the rush. Also a great tip to avoid any ID theft issues. So a lot of times we see taxpayers who wait right up until the extension deadline. There's always the risk that someone's going to file a return in your place, claim a big refund, and then that's a headache that you don't want to have to deal with.
Really interesting. Adam, thanks so much for taking the time here and breaking down some of the traps versus the tips out there.
Yeah, great to be here. Thank you.
Certainly.